To me, performance does not only mean speed. To me, it also means how is the suspension, how are the brakes, and a few other parameters of a motorcycle. The chassis, the wheels, the tires, everything falls under performance. And we are going to talk about a lot of things today. Welcome back to the channel, guys. I am Depayan. I hope each one of you are doing absolutely fine, working hard in your life and enjoying life to the core. You can take it as a city ride review or a review of this motorcycle, the KTM Duke 390 Generation 3. We are in the streets of Kolkata. Now this is in the street mode, as you could see. I generally ride the motorcycle in the track mode, but the reason I'm riding it in street mode today is a lot of other information is available in the street mode and the rain mode, which is not there in the track mode, because you don't need them when you ride the motorcycle in a track. It is a powerful motorcycle, there's no doubt about it. The other day I took it to the highways, went for a 200-kilometer spin, which is like nothing on a highway. It performed well. From the performance front, I had no issues whatsoever. But I would not suggest anyone who is searching for a motorcycle primarily for his or her highway run. A lot of people buy performance-oriented motorcycle for breakfast rides, or maybe for touring. But the reason I'm telling you is this, because the bike is a very compact motorcycle. Although when you sit on it, when you ride the motorcycle, you don't feel that it is a small motorcycle or a very compact motorcycle. They have engineered the design, the seat, the foot pegs, the handlebar, the rider triangle in such a way that it doesn't make you feel that the bike is a small bike. But still, at the end of the day, it is. It has got a very short wheelbase for extremely good maneuverability, and also to keep the weight of the motorcycle at check. But that in turn robs you a little of high-speed confidence in the highways. Somehow I didn't feel confident in speeds above 130, 140 in the highway. I did it only once, because that's something which I don't promote, and something which I don't advise people, at least not in the Indian highways. It's absolutely not safe. I just took the bike in those speeds just to check how it behaves, so that I could share my views on it. Now if you ask me, can this bike tour, can I take this bike touring where I would be doing speeds of 80, 90? Sure, you can. You can even take an Activa and go to places. That's the straight cut answer. But now see, this is not a cheap motorcycle by any means, right? So if you spend this kind of money, you have various other options if touring or highway riding is your primary objective from your motorcycle. If your primary objective is city riding, daily commuting, where you don't mind spending a little bit more on the fuel, then definitely this is perhaps the best motorcycle available in town at the moment in single cylinder category at this price point. Now let me talk a little bit about the suspension and the chassis, okay? I won't say it's the best in class suspension, but it does the job pretty well once you tune it. because there's a whole lot of adjustability option available in this motorcycle with regards to the suspension. So you should definitely tune it to your taste, to your body weight, to your terrain before you start riding it full-fledged. You could check out YouTube videos. Even I have one, how to adjust the suspension of a motorcycle, of this motorcycle. Then that's the first thing which you should do, and once you set the suspension accordingly, you are simply going to love it. The feel from them is excellent. The chassis is another aspect which really impresses me from the point of view of, you know, handling. Now, I am not a stunt rider, I am not a rash rider or a high-speed rider in the city, but even from a common man's perspective, even from a daily rider perspective, I have been through situations with this motorcycle in the last 8,500 kilometers that I have already clocked in this motorcycle, or maybe, you know, sorry, 9,000, above 9,000. You see, 9,056 kilometers that I have clocked in this motorcycle. I have been through situations, tricky situations, which this motorcycle really helped a lot to, you know, overcome them easily with confidence. So a lot has to do how the chassis is designed and how the suspension is working out to give you that kind of feel. So that's another thing which really impressed me of this motorcycle a lot. Another extremely important aspect of a motorcycle is how good the brakes are from stock. I'm not talking about any modifications like installing better brake pads, which are available in the market nowadays very easily, or doing any kind of changes in the brake oil department or the brake line department. Nothing. I have done nothing to this motorcycle except a few aesthetic changes. I have done nothing, no modifications at all. So the stock brakes by itself are, I mean, this is the best brake in a motorcycle that I've ever used till date. Just the right amount of everything. It's not going to scare you. At the same time, it's going to instill so much more confidence in you, which is required in a performance-oriented motorcycle like this. So the brakes are extremely good, the rear and the front. The rear with regards to how a rear brake should be, and the front as regards to how it should be. It's a 4-piston caliper, so definitely the braking power will be much more. And at the same time, it's basically made by Brembo, one of their premium line caliper and master cylinder set that they put into these smaller category motorcycles. Now let's talk about the engine a little bit. 46.708 bhp and around 43 Nm of torque. That's what the spec sheet says. But even if we keep aside the spec sheet, the real-time power delivery of this motorcycle, I won't say it's going to you know, scare you. No, that was there in the previous version. That brutal power is no more there in this motorcycle. So if you're a die-hard KTM fan and have been owning the previous generation in the 90s, it's going to disappoint you a little bit. But what you get in return of the brutal power is tractability and smoothness or refinement, whatever you want to call it. So it's now in a proper balance between a little bit less brutality in the power department, and in return giving you tractability and smoothness. So that's another thing which people like me are going to love. I love power, but at the same time I don't like brutal power. I don't like that. Maybe I will appreciate it in a motorcycle, but I would never like to, live with such a machine which has brutal power. That's personal opinion. And the fact that giving that up, I am receiving smoothness, I'm receiving tractability, is something which made me really, really happy when I found that out in the test ride. Vibrations, yes, definitely vibrations. You could feel the vibrations in the handlebar, not that much in the seat, in the foot peg. Vibrations are there, or you could say there's a new word in the town now, which is buzz. So this motorcycle doesn't have vibration, you can say it has buzz, buzziness. Another improvement in the engine department is the heat management. Definitely that's a big difference in this one. This engine doesn't heat up that much. Even if in bumper to bumper traffic, I didn't find the engine heat to be irritating. Of course, it's a performance oriented engine, so a little bit of heat will be there. It's there in my CB350 as well. And definitely the heat is a little bit more than the CB350 since it has a radiator. Any radiator or liquid cooled engine is going to throw more heat than the air cooled one, since when the fan comes on, the heat dissipates. So at that point of time, you're going to feel some amount of heat in your thighs and your legs. I ride this motorcycle in my shorts as well. You might have seen in my vlogs, previous vlogs. So no problem at all, no problem at all. Quite manageable, since the radiator itself is a little bit bigger and there are two fans to cool it down faster, or not let it warm up in the very first place. So watch me, okay? This is 33, 34 and it's in the 4th gear. Just imagine. Could you ever imagine this in a KTM? It's in 4th gear and see the speed, 38, 39. So that's what I'm talking about. The tractability of this motorcycle is really been improved. Let's ride the motorcycle in the track mode for some time. And turn off the traction control. This motorcycle has a ride-by-wire throttle, just like its previous generation Duke 390. But I feel, since I owed that particular previous gen Duke 390 for 2-3 months, so I'm aware of the throttle response of that motorcycle. The feel from the throttle, I mean, was a little bit lighter. This one is a little bit heavier. A little bit heavier, which has its own pros and cons. If the throttle feel is a little bit lighter, throttle tension is a little bit lighter, then it's going to aid your slow riding sessions. And if it is on the harder side, then it's going to be a little bit safer when you ride the motorcycle faster. A lot of people has concern about the fuel economy, although that's not something which a person looks out when he goes for buying a performance oriented motorcycle. But still, let me tell you, it is going to disappoint you. In the last 8,500 or 9,000 kilometers that I've been riding this motorcycle, the highest fuel economy mileage that I had received is around 25 kilometers per liter. and mostly what I get is around 18 or 20, not more than that. And this I'm talking about in the city. I have been praising this motorcycle ever since I started this video, so let me just give you a particular disadvantage that I have found in this motorcycle, and that is the drive chain of this motorcycle is not up to the mark, as in not equally of a good quality as the other parts of this motorcycle. So that translates to you need to maintain the drive chain very frequently to maintain the kind of performance this motorcycle offers. Otherwise the performance goes down rapidly. You're definitely going to realize that if you don't maintain the drive chain. And maintenance does not only mean cleaning and lubing the drive chain, it also means adjusting the slack of the drive chain, which increases rapidly. Now see, this is a performance oriented motorcycle, so the power which you get at the rear wheel is a lot more. The quality of the drive chain is a little bit inferior than what it should be for a motorcycle of this performance. So that's the reason the chain wears off sooner than it should. So the replacement kilometer or time should also arrive sooner, and the maintenance time also arrives sooner. And if you don't if you elongate the maintenance time, then you're going to get robbed of a little bit of performance from the motorcycle. The chain is going to give you a dirty feel when you shift gears. It's going to make various kind of noises. I had to replace the front brake pad once at around 5,000 to 6,000 kilometers. It costed me around 3,000 rupees, original. It's made by Brembo. The rear one is still good to go. Still a lot of life is left in it. I had to change the clutch cable once. Now that could be unique to my motorcycle. From day one I had felt the clutch to be a little bit on the harder side. I plan to replace it just for the heck of it, because I was finding it a little bit too hard with time. So after replacing it, it's like butter smooth. So that costs the clutch cable costed me around 400 rupees, which is okay for this category motorcycle. In earlier generation Dukes, if you slow down, you definitely had to put a gear down. But that's not the case with this one, which is something which I really like. As I said, that is something which you get at the cost of the brutal performance. The other day, somebody asked me that if you don't want to, enjoy the high speeds in a motorcycle, like above 120, 130, then why did you buy a Duke 390? You could have easily bought a Duke 200 or a Duke 250 with similar design cues. Now that's an interesting question, but the thing is, when you ride a performance oriented motorcycle, it's just not the top speed or the speed for which you ride it, for which you buy it. This is a confusion that a lot of people has, misconception that a lot of people has. I bought this motorcycle not just for the top speed, I bought it for the complete package that it provides. The feel, the feel when you twist the throttle, this feel won't be there in the 250 or in the 200 or any other motorcycle. We have a huge variety of motorcycle in the 200 and the 250 range at the moment. So that feel won't be there. Yeah, I think I have a fairly good place over here to talk about the motorcycle a little bit. So yeah, let's do that. The fit and finish of this motorcycle, like the grips and all, in my earlier motorcycles, by this time I had to replace the grips as the softness of the grips go away. But in this one, it didn't. The buttons are very tactile, so it always gives you that assurance about the click. That's the switch gear is of an extremely good quality. There is nothing to complain about them. This switch gear, I had to replace it once because it got covered under warranty. Of course, this horn button started staying stuck in the triggered position, so that was a problem. I don't know how it arised, but in the second service they had it replaced absolutely at free of cost. The DRL of this motorcycle, it broke away. Maybe in the parking lot somebody had put some pressure. I don't know what happened. I found that this one hanging around, so I had to replace it. It cost around 2,000 rupees. Also had to replace a particular bracket behind it that cost around 80 or 90 rupees. So the bracket was not available, so I had to wait for around 2 months nearly. Another small disadvantage, you might say, which I encounter in my daily life, that is when I go for fueling up, so you see the structure over here. Now this hole is big enough for the fuel pump nozzle to completely go in. Okay, so and that is a problem. In the initial days, once I mean, the fuel nozzle went right in, and I think it had hit the fuel pump from above. So that's a very, very, very dangerous thing. So from the following time, what I do is, now this is on this side, so if the fuel station is on this side and they put in the nozzle from this side, it's going to go inside. So I hold it and don't let it go deep down inside. And if they try filling it from this side, then it's a bit tricky. They have to make it 90 degree and then go in again. I have to hold it and then they fill it up. So although not a deal breaker, although not a very big disadvantage, but since I'm making a review, so it's my duty to share with you these small daily life difficulties that I have with this motorcycle, which is quite livable. It's not that you cannot live with them. So I had installed the top rack from Zana. As you guys know, I am so accustomed with the top box that I cannot live my biking life without it. I cannot carry a bag. I'm so used to by not carrying a bag. So this is the same top box that you see in my Highness. I just had bought another base plate and I had installed it in this one. So whenever I want, I can switch it from this bike to that bike. That's exactly what I do. So the top rack costed me around 2,800 or something like that, and the base plate is another 1,700 rupees, and the top box is there. I had chopped off a little bit of the rear fender from here. Not exactly chopped off, I had made it custom, so if I want I can screw it back in. That piece is there with me. So because that particular extension, I didn't like it, so this is much better. What generally people do, they remove the whole thing. So there's a gap over here, there's a gap over here, and you can see through over here. So that is not as per my taste, so I did this. Here we have the suspension adjustability for the rebound, and this is the preload. And as we all know, the front is also adjustable for compression and rebound. The wheels are extremely light. That's another thing which is very commendable. So unsprung weight of the motorcycle is much less than the previous generation or any other motorcycle of this segment. See, I am a technical person. You all must be knowing that. So when I check out a motorcycle, I see it from a technical point of view much more than an aesthetic point of view. So in this motorcycle, whatever technicalities, I have removed the headlight once, I have removed the switch gear, removed it from over here to service once. So I have found a lot of technical aspects of this motorcycle which just impressed me. Everything is of a upgraded level. I mean, nothing is carried on from the past generation motorcycles, any motorcycle. The brakes, for example, okay, the brakes, we see the brake light switch over here. You will not find it in this one over here, neither here nor there. They are not exposed to the weather conditions, so if they go bad on other motorcycles, they are probably, I'm not sure, they are probably kept in the somewhere near the ABS motor. where they get triggered whenever the brake oil hits in the ABS, something like that. I'm not sure, don't quote me for that, but the point is they didn't give it somewhere near to the brake levers. The gear lever over here, from time to time we need to grease this, we all know that, but in this one it's no more required. Why? Because they have provided a bearing over here. In the earlier generation, I'm not sure, I didn't check out, but I think it's not a bearing system. But in this one, they have provided a bearing which is going to maintain a persistency in the shifting experience of the motorcycle. So that's another one. So similarly, there are many other aspects of this motorcycle which have medium level of upgradation in the technical front, which is really commendable. I really appreciate those things a lot than the aesthetic upgrades in a motorcycle. The mirrors, for example, are rock steady. Yeah, they do vibrate at redlining or higher RPM. I don't mind such minimal amounts of vibrations in a motorcycle. Just look at how the cables are being managed. Excellent way for managing the cables. You won't find anything just dangling around here and there out of the way. Those things are not there. There is another small thing that I have noticed about this motorcycle in the initial days, and later on I confirmed from the service center that it's there with all the Gen 3 Duke 390s, although I have not confirmed that with any other co-owners. But let me share that with you. A little bit of issue with the software of this motorcycle, the algorithm, how it is set. Like, see, we come over here, we put the key inside, sit on our motorcycle, take off the kickstand, and then turn on the key. Doing so, what happens? It says side stand on when the side stand is up. So now this goes away. If I again put down the side stand and take it off, it goes away and comes to kill switch, right? So earlier I thought maybe there's some problem with the side stand sensor or something, but that's not the case. It's the algorithm. However, suppose we park it. The software wants us to first turn on the ignition with the side stand on and the kill switch off, then sit on the bike, then take off the side stand and then put on the kill switch, wait for 2-3 seconds for the fuel pump to prime, and then ignite the motorcycle, the engine. Not a deal breaker, but you got to adjust to it. That's something. Okay, now let's continue. So let's talk a little bit about seating comfort of this motorcycle. Now, in a performance motorcycle, you cannot expect an extremely comfortable seat. It's not supposed to. So looking at the motorcycle from that perspective, they are comfortable. The cushioning is not very soft, neither it is too hard. There is a problem with the seat, that is when you go for washing your motorcycle or when you just return from a rain ride. Water, due to the texture of the seat, water seeps in and stays on there for some time. So after washing a motorcycle, when you go out for a spin, your pants are definitely gonna get wet for the first couple of minutes. There is no hack to it, except that when you wash your motorcycle, you remove the seat and put some plastic cover on top of it so that water doesn't go into the electricals. That's what I generally do. The riding triangle, again, from a performance-oriented motorcycle, is excellent. I never felt the need of a handlebar riser in this motorcycle, and I think it's not available also, since the meter is going to come in between, so it's a little bit dicey, a little bit tricky. I think that is the reason that no aftermarket companies came up with a handlebar riser for this generation Duke. The position is a little bit tilted towards the front, which it's supposed to be, which it is supposed to be in a performance-oriented motorcycle. If you sit absolutely straight, then it's not going to aid the overall ergonomics of the motorcycle. The mirrors do an excellent job. They are wide, they are of a very premium quality, not flimsy at all. But you cannot just adjust them on the fly, since it's very tight. Okay, from day one they are very tight, and that's there for a reason, for a good reason, so that it doesn't move around when you are going to blast the motorcycle, or if you are in the mood to blast the motorcycle. They give you a good picture of what is behind at all times, and when you really go near to the red line, they vibrate a little bit. The bike is extremely flickable. Regarding the tires, I like them, but a lot of people say that the Apollo Alpha H1s are better, so I plan to put them on when this one, wears out. I will make a dedicated video on explaining the complete meter console. It's going to be interesting one. I don't want to squeeze that in the review video. Cutting through traffic and moving ahead is a piece of cake for this motorcycle, trust me. And at the same time, if you just want to glide through your early evening rides, enjoying the nice weather, that's also absolutely possible with this generation Duke. Don't expect me to do the stunt related stuffs in this motorcycle and show you all, because firstly, I'm not a stunt guy, I'm not a racer. I simply enjoy my motorcycle, and yes, I like fiddling with the technicalities of a motorcycle. I appreciate the technical upgradation in a motorcycle a lot. Now let's talk about the headlight illumination of this motorcycle and all other lighting. So every other lighting in this motorcycle is an LED. I think it's there from the inception of Duke, so nothing new in that. The headlight throw of this particular headlight is very good, as in if you compare it with any other motorcycle, because nowadays mostly all the motorcycles are equipped with an LED, with a LED headlight, and people do complain about the illumination. You would need a pair of Oxlite if you go night riding in the highways or isolated places where there is not much street lights. In my city, Kolkata, if I ride in the city at night, I don't feel the need of an extra auxiliary light, although that is there in my motorcycle just for the aesthetic improvement, and if occasionally I need to hit the highway at night. If you ask whether the headlight beam could be adjusted or not, yes, very easily. Anybody could do that at home, no problem whatsoever. Now let me share a little bit of my experience when I took this motorcycle to the highways. If you are a guy who wants to ride this motorcycle on the highway at 150 kilometers per hour, you will not be disappointed. Just that it's going to scare you a little bit, which any naked motorcycle, if you ride in that speed, is going to do the same. But if you want to ride this motorcycle on the highway in the comfortable highway two-wheeler speed, which is around in between 80 to 100 or 110 at the most, that is also extremely lovable in this motorcycle. The engine goes in its relaxed mode from 90 kilometers per hour in the 6th gear, and the relaxed nature stays up to 130, 135, after which it again goes into that aggressive mode slowly. So KTM has really tuned the motorcycle very well tuned engine, very well tuned electronics in this motorcycle. The power band is so flexible. I mean, it matched with the gearing of this motorcycle, with the overall engine specification of this motorcycle so well. You know, that is really going to impress you. Up till now, whatever bikes I have ridden, they are either good in the, you know, high speed, or good in the low speed, or in the mid range, or you will find few bikes good in the initial and the mid, or the mid and the top, but they compromise in any of the, you know, bands, any of the speed bands. But this motorcycle has got you covered completely. That is definitely there, definitely there. But in one word, if you ask me, should you take this motorcycle to touring in the highways, my advice, my suggestion will be no. No, because this motorcycle is going to tickle you every now and then to increase the speed and enjoy it, which it is quite addictive, quite addictive. And that alone is something which is very difficult to control, you know, control yourself. And the point that this bike is a compact design, it has got shorter wheelbase, is something against touring, something which is against the touring aspect of a motorcycle. So I would not suggest. Another important aspect is pillion comfort. Honestly, I only carried a pillion in this motorcycle once, and it was hell. Well, not literally, but yeah, if your pillion is a little bit healthy, on the healthier side, you're not going to like it. This bike is basically not designed to carry a pillion, so you might not like it. Maybe after adjusting the preload of the rear suspension, it might sort out things a little bit. It's just not about the suspension, it's about the way the bike has been designed. This motorcycle is primarily not designed to carry a pillion. That's what I feel. Because you see, the suspension, the chassis, everything is intended for pure fun in the streets. And when a manufacturer is focused on doing that, they cannot focus on the pillion comfort as well. Bad roads, no problem. While riding this motorcycle in the highways, I was on a speed of around say 100, 90, 100, and suddenly I had to overtake a truck, and while I was doing it from the right hand side, I came across 2-3 sudden potholes, and I had no other option than to go over them. I went over them. The bike, you know, tackled those potholes like magic. I mean, yes, I did feel it. I won't lie to you all. I did feel them. But it didn't make me lose balance. It didn't even give me, it didn't even lessen my confidence at all. That's the advantage of having a good chassis and good suspension. So that is about it, guys. That's about the review of this motorcycle, the Duke 390. I don't know whether I could do justice to the word review, but I tried my best, and as usual, I give review from more from a technical point of view. By now you all must be knowing, but yes, if you want to know anything else regarding this motorcycle, be it technical, be it aesthetic, be it anything, any kind of information, do let me know in the comment section below. I would definitely like to, you know, answer to them. Even if I don't have the answer, I will research, I'll find out, since I'm having this motorcycle with me, and I'll solve it for you. And if it is a big topic, do let me know that also. If possible, I'll make a video on it. I don't know when I'm going to publish this video. I'll try and do it tomorrow, because tomorrow is Diwali. So happy Diwali to each one of y'all. Love you guys. Please take good care of yourself. Happy Diwali. Bye bye. GoPro, stop recording.